Welcome to our next video, the cost of college, something that I hope has been on everyone's mind at least once where you would like to go to college. So let's start this off. When estimating the cost of college education, it's helpful to consider the expenses as well as the sources of financial aid available. Some of the common expenses and sources of financial aid are described below. So in this part, we're just going to talk about the different parts of college. So let's start with expenses. The first thing is tuition and fees. This is the cost of taking classes or courses. So people tend to like college because a class, unlike in grade school, does not last from August to May. If you start college in August, your class will end in December, and then in January you will start an entire new class. So people like that about college because you don't feel stuck in a certain class for an entire school year. It's just a semester class. The next thing is room and board. This is the cost of food and housing. So whenever you go to school, most colleges, not all, but most, require freshmen to live on campus so that way they can get used to the life of college because it's very different. You're paying to go to school because you want to go to school, and it can get really confusing for some because college campuses can be really big. The next thing is books and supplies. This is the cost of textbooks. And course materials. So each professor will have a syllabus sent out that allows you to see what they require for their class that semester. So you do have to purchase those. The last thing is transportation and others. Some campuses are really large and you have to drive from one side to the other. And then of course entertainment. Are you going to be in a type of sorority or fraternity? And then eating out, because obviously who doesn't like to go eat Chick-fil-A after a rough day? So then the next part is financial aid. This is where you can get one of the following programs, either a scholarship, a grant, a work study, or a loan. Scholarships are money given based on talents, grades, and other circumstances, whether that means that you're in athletics, whether you're in fine arts like choir, band, theater, and of course, obviously your grades can gain you a scholarship, and that helps you pay for school. And money given is money that you do not have to pay back. Along with money given is grants. This is also money given, and it's usually based on a student's financial need. The most common grant's the Pell Grant, and that is given to students based solely on their personal needs. So the amount of a Pell Grant ranges from person to person. Last is the work study. This is money students earn by working jobs provided by the college, meaning that you do work for the school. So I personally went to UT Tyler, and within UT Tyler we had different restaurants set up kind of like a food court in a mall that actual students worked at, and how they got paid was partially an actual paycheck, but then also partially they were paid by the school funding some of their classes. So it's not that they had to pay the money back, they had to just do manual labor. And then of course you have loans. This is money borrowed, which must be repaid, and usually with interest. So always remember that whenever you borrow money, that cost of borrowing money is paying back with the interest piece tacked on to the end. Okay, so then we're going to skip down here to this table, and we're going to go through some different scenarios. So in these scenarios, we have Leo, Kate, and Ben, and they all went to a different public university or private university. Leo went to a 4-year public, Kate went to a 4-year private, and Ben went to a 2-year community college. Over here on the side, it says that each of them paid a certain amount in tuition and fees, room and board, books and supplies, and then other. But then this part says the cost per year. So in order to determine the cost per year, I would take each of these amounts and total them up. So let's do that for Leo real quick. Leo paid $7,800 in tuition and fees, plus $9,500 in room and board, plus $1,350, and then plus $750. That brings his total for 1 year to $19,400. Perfect. Now let's talk about a four-year public university. Four-year public university are like Texas Tech, Texas A&M, UT Austin. One of my students mentioned LSU. Those are all public four-year universities. Along with public four-year universities, yes, the price is high, but it's not as high as more selective colleges. So right now, before I get into that, I want you to go ahead and pause the video and get the totals for Kate and Ben. Perfect. Hopefully you didn't have any difficulty getting those totals. I'm going to go ahead and clear my calculator screen here. Now, I want to talk about the differences here. Leo went to a four-year public university, which we've already discussed. But then if you notice, Kate went to also a four-year, but hers is a private university. And you can see the increase in the price. That's for a couple of reasons. So public universities are universities that are not geared towards personal beliefs. So private schools are typically geared towards religious beliefs, like Baylor University. That's a really large Christian university here in the state of Texas. And the reason that that school is so much more expensive is because the funding is not as much from the state side as much as it is from the student side. So it costs a little bit more to get into those schools, but you're putting yourself into a school that is geared more towards your personal beliefs as well as your educational need. So people like four-year private universities and are willing to pay that money so that way they can get an education geared around their personal beliefs. Whereas at the end, we have Ben, who went to a two-year community college, and if you notice, his price was significantly less, and he was able to live at home. Talking about Ben for just a second, a community college is a college that is geared towards students who might not be either fully prepared for the real university side, financial need might not be there, or might not be where it needs to be for them to go to a public university or private university. And also community college is also a very good way for you to get your feet wet into understanding what you want to do when you get older. So people tend to go to community college to get what's called their basic classes out of the way, and then later transfer to a university. Also, people go to community colleges to get certifications, whether you want to be a realtor, if you want to do cosmetology, if you want to do, what's that one? I can't think of it right now, but maybe it'll pop in my head in just a second. There is radiology tech. There's all kinds of different certifications that you can get that go along with two-year community colleges, and they don't cost as much money. So that's always a good starting point if you're not sure where you want to go. So now that we understand the difference between the three, we're going to calculate some things about each person. So we're going to start with Leo. Leo qualifies for a total of $6,200 in scholarships and grants per year, and he will earn $2,700 each year through a work-study program. All of those things are super important. He got $6,200 in scholarships and grants, but then he also earned $2,000 each year through a work-study program. So with that being said, Leo, his total was $19,400. Leo has some I put too many zeros. Leo has some deductions here. He's not paying that full amount because he qualified for a $6,200 scholarship. Scholarships are really good, guys, especially if you are academically high or if you're a sports person. These are really, really good things for y'all to take advantage of, so that way you're not putting as much money into college, because college is super expensive. Now, along with this, he also earned money by working for the school through a work-study program, $2,700. Now, I know in our minds we think, oh, we need to add that to this, but remember what you're doing. Adding $2,700 would be making the amount he has to pay go up. He already paid some of it by working for the school. So if I want to now figure out, after he did some physical labor, how much he has to pay with money, I would still need to deduct that $2,700. And I would get that 1 year of college cost $10,500. Perfect. And then, of course, to find 4 years worth, I would just multiply that amount by 4 and get $42,000. So, see, college amounts can add up very fast. Guys, that's the price of a car for 4 years of school. So, keep in mind that when you go to college, you don't want to put it off and not make it your top priority, because college is a lot of money and you don't want that money to be wasted. Okay, going on to B. Leo's family will cover 65% of his college expenses each year. How much will Leo need to contribute? So hopefully some information in that section popped out at you. Leo's family will cover 65%. How much will Leo need to contribute each year? So we kind of have some contradicting information going on here. It says Leo's family is going to pay 65%. However, how much will Leo need to contribute each year? So that's where they kind of try to trick you a little bit, because they gave you a percentage. You know how to find the percent of a number, but do you have the right percentage? If the question said how much will Leo's family need to pay, then of course we'd have the right percentage, but this is how much will Leo need to contribute. So to do that, I know his family is going to contribute 65%, and the highest percent you can have is 100. So if I subtract 165, I know that 100% minus 65% equals 35%. So that is the amount that you would use to find Leo's cost per year. So his cost per year has now changed after his deductions to $10,500. To find the percent of a number, because it says how much will he need to contribute each year, you do multiply your amount by your percent, but always make sure whenever you're writing your percent in a problem, you do the percent over 100, or with the decimal move 2 times to the left. So now when I calculate this, $10,500 times 35 over 100, I get the dollar amount $3,675. And that is how much he will have to contribute, because his family is taking care of the other percent, which is always really nice too, when family can come in and give you money to help you pay for school. Because again, guys, school is super expensive. Imagine coming right out of high school and starting college. Do you just have this amount of money sitting around? If you do, that is so great. Start saving now. So now let's go into C. If Leo has 4 years to save the amount he needs for his first year of college, how much should he save each month? So whenever I'm doing this one, again, is there anything that just pops out at you? Hopefully this 4 years stuck out, and he's trying to save for his first year of college. Here's the question: how much should he save each month? So again, I have some contradicting statements going on. I know he's going to have 4 years to save, but he's saving by the month. So I have to make these in the same units still. I can't leave that as years, because I'm not saving by the years, I'm saving by the months. To change years to months, we'll do it down here. 4 years, you would multiply by 12, and you would get 48 months. Just like that. Now, to find your total, I take my amount that he has to save, $3,675, and I have to do something with 48 month. So let's go back and talk about what he's doing. He's got 4 years to save, and then he needs to save $3,675, but he's saving monthly, so 48 months. Meaning that at the end of 48 months, he needs to have this much money at least. So I do understand this word each is right here, but each has a double meaning. We multiplied over here because I was trying to get the percent of a number, versus over here, I'm trying to split this amount between 48 months as evenly as possible. And the only operation that allows us to do that is division. So we're going to divide 3,675 divided by 48. And we're going to get $76.50. Is it going to be 56 or 57? The 2 leaves the 6 alone. 5 or more raises 4. 4 or less, let it rest. $76.56. So all of these things may seem like a lot, but I hope you notice that it's truly just multiplication and division, and maybe a little addition, if I can talk, addition and subtraction. Perfect. On to our next person. I will write the amount of that person above. Give me just a second. So Kate qualifies for a total of $9,450 in scholarships and grants per year, and she will earn $2,900 each year through a work-study program. So I know y'all probably don't remember. Kate's amount was $40,300. So she went to that private university that cost quite a bit more money. So right now I want you to pause the video and I want you to do just section A. Hopefully that section wasn't too difficult for you. So she did start out with this $40,300, but she also got $9,450 in scholarships and grants, and then she also did some work for the school that got her another $2,900 off of her total, bringing her yearly amount, I forgot my comma, bringing her yearly amount to $27,950. That's a big difference, guys. All just for doing a little bit of work and also getting some sort of scholarship and grant. So again, those things are actually really worth it if you plan on continuing your education. Okay? B says Kate's family will contribute $16,000 towards her expenses each year. How much will Kate need to contribute? Pause the video and attempt this section. Hope that section also is not difficult for you. I know they switched it up on you. It's not a percentage this time. They actually gave her a dollar amount, so it's actually a little bit easier than the other one was. We were able to subtract her 1 year balance we were able to subtract her 1 year balance and how much her parents were contributing to her new total of $11,950. Look at this astronomical difference here. We started out at $40,300 and now we are at $11,950, all because family helped pay. She got some sort of scholarship and grant, and because she earned money by working for the school. So now the last one, C. If Kate has 4 years to save the amount she needs for her first year of college, how much would she save each month? So I'm going to pause the video again. I want you to attempt this section. Alrighty, final section for this one. So on C, it said she had 4 years to save, but she was saving by the month again. So we did have to multiply by 12 to get our total amount of months in 4 years, which is 48. And then we are splitting that $11,950 between those 48 months, which when you divide those out, which I should have done over here, I'm so sorry, 11,950 divided by 48, you get $248. And I know it says 95, but that 8 increases that 5 by 1 because it is 5 or more, raises 4, so that is 96 cents. Perfect. Now, number 3, Ben qualifies for a total of $1,500 in scholarships and grants per year, and he will earn $1,750 each year through a work-study program. So Ben's amount, in case you don't remember, which I'm sure you don't, is $6,750. I want you to pause the video and attempt all 3 sections without me. When I come back, all 3 will be answered. Welcome back. So as you can see on my calculator at the top, I have his $6,600. Deducting out the $1,500 he was allotted with scholarships and grants. And then I also deducted how much he earned by working for the school. Then they tried to trick you right here. It's only 2 years. So you double that amount, $6,700. And now we're going to calculate how much his family is going to cover versus how much he's going to cover. So his family was covering 25%, but the question says how much will Ben need to contribute? So we changed that to 75% here, multiplied. Now when I multiplied, I got this fraction, but when you hit alpha y equals 4, it will convert that to a decimal. Then moving on to C, divided by 48, because again he had 4 years to save that amount of money, and this amount divided by 48 is $52.34. So again, not that it's difficult, it is just like a lot of multiplication and division and then a little bit of addition, subtraction added in. The biggest things are these percentage problems. Just make sure you know whose percentage they need. Do they need Ben's percentage or do they need his family's percentage? And most of the time, it's always going to be one or the other. It's either going to be they're going to give you Ben's percentage, but they want the families, or they're going to give you the families and then they're going to want the other person. So please just pay attention to that and remember that all percents are out of 100. A good way to remember that is your phone battery. When you plug it in at night, the highest they can get to is 100%. So always remember all percents are out of 100. Alrighty, I hope this video helps. Bye!